بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك يا رب الكريم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rightio folks, so let's jump straight in. The reason for that is that today's lesson is going to be a short one. Short compared to what we normally do. It should be this long. In Al-Maghrib we would not go more than 45 minutes or 50 minutes. Well, that's theoretically how long you're meant to go for. Obviously I don't follow those rules either, but these lessons in recent times have been going to 120, 130, kind of long thing, so it's good fun. Anyway, alhamdulillah. So, alright, so we're not going to waste time. So folks who have got questions, then make sure that you get your questions in early and bring my attention to it used to there, to answer questions on the go as opposed to wait for them at the end. Alright, so the chapter is Bab Sifat al-Salah, the chapter of description of the prayer. يسن القيام عند قد من إقامتها وتسوية الصف ويقول الله أكبر رافعا يديه مضمومتي الأصابع ممدودة. That's another couple of weeks as well. Anyway, so we've done the first part, bring it down Shaz, which is that it is a sunnah to stand when it is said qad, and it's said from the iqamah, and it is also sunnah to straighten the prayer line. He then says Allahu Akbar, raising his hands. So we are on the prayer line, and we said that this issue of the sunnah, it being the sunnah, the class position was that actually it is something bigger than that. It is obligatory, and we went through some details and I showed practically what's going on. It was a couple of weeks ago, and today's lesson mostly is going to focus on some of the fiqh of what it means to complete the line, because completing the line itself, comes from the word of kamal, يعني الأكمل, and الكمال يعني الاستواء بمعنى الكمال. كمل يعني when something becomes straight and complete. However, to say to straighten the line indicates other things as well. يعني when we say straighten the rows, right? When we say استو تراصوا اعتدلوا يعني أتم الصف الأول فالأول, all these kind of phrases that you're hearing. Like I wrote an article before, this is not someone trying to pronounce the Brazilian starting 11. We have all kinds of dodgy names and whatever. These are all Arabic verbs or commands which are indicating certain states and specific nature or characteristics of the line. So what does it mean then in conclusion? The first one is, he says on the top of, for those who have got a Sharh al-Mumti' on page 12, he says taswiyatul muhadha, yani that the line's got to be straight. It's got to be straight. It's not going to be bent or crooked or whatever. So it's a straight line, simple. And Sheikh says, according to the correct position, that is an obligation. The line can't be bent. Exception to that? Chairs? No, we shouldn't say chairs. The exception to that is if there is a problem with a person. That's the exception. Let's not make the exception chairs. The exception should be that a person, for example, is oversized or hunchback thing, whatever that verb we agreed on in the end, whatever. But so he has a major defect which makes him, not be able to maintain a straight line. That's one of them. And if one of the defects or problems is a disability or a temporary injury, which means he has to sit down, then obviously he's taking an entire different position as well. The issue of the chair is a very controversial one. Alright? What is the ruling based upon? Is the ruling based upon a person who is standing, or is the ruling based upon a person who is sitting? Or is the ruling based upon both? Or is the ruling relaxed? Does that make all sense, right? So as you saw in our demonstration session, and maybe we should also try and demonstrate this, but not today. Maybe another session. But if you look at the line, and we said that the line that you have in a masjid or drawn or in the rug itself, your heel is on that line. So we've established what a straight line is, and that the line is determined by the back, not the front. That's fine. Using that as a starting point, where does the chair go? Now, here, as is very important to indicate, the chair itself is new and not good and shouldn't have been introduced. And for people who are desperate for it, fine. But in asl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that a person remembers Allah whilst they are standing, and qu'ud, and and they are on their sides. They're sitting and on their sides. The sitting is on the floor. It's not on a chair. Okay? And that makes sense. That fits the line with the sunnah. That's what was around at that time. People might say there's no such thing as chairs. Of course, that's nonsense. Of course, there are chairs at that time, but it was not something which was right. Those people who know and have been through it, they know that praying on a chair itself, other than the physical problems it causes for the line, causes problems for the people behind the line. Okay, and it also spiritually is horrible. Praying on a chair spiritually is horrible. You not being able to prostrate when everyone else is, that makes you feel arrogant. You miss out on the sajda. I prayed on a chair, I think, for 5-6 months. I think one period of time. I cannot forget what it felt like when I went back to sajda. My God, that was madness. Very emotional, and I missed out hugely, to be honest. I wanted to show you guys a picture that I got, because I do have an interest in the fiqh of chairs, of course, because the chairs that we have in a masajid cause problems, right, as you know. And if you are going to sit on a chair, and what kind of person is going to sit on a chair? Because the asl is sit on the floor. I think we covered this. We spoke a little bit about this in the class, but I'm not sure how much detail. But let me just make it clear that everyone has to first dibs go to the floor, right? That's the place to be. It will preserve your prayer, the feeling of being in prayer, your humility and your spirituality is preserved when you're on the floor, even if you can't make sajda, whatever. When is it that you can't, or you then go to a chair? When you do not have the ability to be going onto the floor or sitting actually down. All right. Someone might argue, I don't have the ability to keep getting up. That's not a problem. You don't need to get up. Once you get on the floor, and if you don't have the strength to get yourself up on the chair, now you are then to remain on the floor. This is the example of a person who is able to pray Fatiha standing, and they have some kind of problem with their knees because they can't make sajda. All right. So if someone can't make sajda on their knees, this is how they pray. They pray normal, then they go for ruku', then they stand up from ruku', and then they go down into sajda. But because they can't go into sajda, then they sit on their backside. They sit cross-legged, they sit legs out, they sit however they want. But they sit down, and that is when they now do the pseudo sajda. So they're sitting down like this, cross-legged, and then they will now put their hands in the air in this manner, and go as far forward as they possibly can. And then Allahu Akbar, and then Allahu Akbar, in this manner. Alright? Now a person will say, I'm too old and I'm too weak to get back up again. So we say, so you stay there, that's it. Now your Fatiha is like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then he goes for ruku' like this. Then he comes up from ruku' like that. Then he goes for sajda like this. So ruku' goes on his knees, and the sajda is like that. That is what should happen for this person if they do not have the strength to get up. Versus, and that's the controversial part now, versus a person sitting on a chair and then standing up because it's easier from the chair. And that is the debatable part. Because they will say that sitting on the chair allows me to fulfill the rukn of standing. You get the point? Because getting up off a chair is easy, but I don't have the arm strength to get my body up off the floor. So here we'll say that it's allowed for you. The chair is the bigger problem bringing it in. Now, what could be argued? People could argue that now the chair has made its permanent place in the masjid, is there now. Why would you use it? Well, you know what? Unfortunately, we have to accept that, because it is. And that's why people are not sitting on the floor anymore. And that's why now the masajid are getting more chairs and more chairs. When we think about this masjid here, okay, you remember when we started here at the beginning, we had what, 1 chair, 2 chairs, and now we've got like 6 chairs, 8 chairs are being used now. We can see in the last 10 years, just a small increase. And it's not like we haven't had old people, we've had old people from the beginning. But when 1 chair is there, then another one feels that, okay, let me add another chair. And the presence of a chair will keep adding the presence of chairs. And if there was a masjid that starts from the beginning in a strong identity where people pray on the floor and they do that, and the only person that prays on a chair is someone who physically can't get to the floor, Then that's fine. Then that's what the chair's for, and that's what we use it for. So there's nothing wrong in praying on a chair technically. It's unnecessary praying on the chair, which is the problem. When people do have the ability to sit on the floor, they should. And if they can't get up, then they remain on the floor. And at the end of the prayer, then someone helps them, or they get up as they normally would, and that's it. Okay. So, and that's why I said it before. Sheikh Ihlan, she mentioned this before, and it's a very scary thought that our chairs, our masajid are now resembling the pews of churches. And that's what they look like now. Our rows are now starting to look like that. And if you go to the Muslim countries, actually the rows are already set up. So if you go to Saudi and the Gulf kind of countries, you'll see that the first row, okay, I'm not going to lie, it's incredibly luxurious and very comfortable, okay? But the imam, and then you got the first row. But the first row is an entirely sofa-backed front row. You guys are thinking like, oh my God, like a bench. You've never seen this because obviously, you know, although I think some of the masajid even have one for the sisters as well. So the front row is understood. A bench that you can sit on, cushioned, but also the wall of it is cushioned as well, proper upholstered. Yeah, like so it's a pew that you can sit on, but it's also then for the normal guy to just lean back and read Quran. But it's the front row. That's the point. The entire length of the front row, right? So that means that the second row, which we're going to come to in a second, is actually technically further set back. It's like the front row is 1 3/4 rows wide, and then the rest of the rows are all 1 1 1 1 line spacing. If you imagine line spacing, so everything is 1 1 1. Then the front row is big, and then the imam's thingy, which is also unacceptable, as we're going to learn. So that creating that gap, that front row is now you can see how it came to it. You can see this the common sense or the rationale, of why that was created by the Saudis or the rich people. Why? Because first of all, it's an investment into a masjid, and people are living in those areas. They're willing to put the money in. They've got wealth. They put the money in. Number one. Number two, they want to encourage the early people who get there to really enjoy the experience. And there are people, by the way, that go there and they spend the whole day there in the masjid. So it makes sense then for them to be relaxed and lying there and sitting and against something comfortable, and that's fine. Number three, it gives a decoration and aesthetics are very important, and it gets rid of the ugly chairs. You don't need any ugly chair now. It's all very uniform. It's a nice wooden oak paneled long bench, okay, that and because the feet go right at the edge of where the seat is, so if a person is actually sitting down, they just sit down. And when they're standing, they're bang on straight with everyone else. So everyone is standing the same, and then if they want to sit down, they just sit down. So then they stand back up again, then they sit down. So they're never interfering with that, whatever. So you've got uniform, no dodgy chairs, whatever. What's the next benefit? Never going to affect the people behind because it's actually built into the floor. So, and it's like, so it's difficult because once you see that and once you've used it, yes, you enjoy it, it's comfortable, looks nice, whatever. But we've created the initial first step to the Islamic pew system. Now, you go to the poorer countries, like in Egypt, okay, and their masajid is a different structure. They can't afford that whole kind of flex. So what they have is a row of chairs permanently set at the back, and 2 rows, and 3 rows. I mean, it's crazy. They've you're going to a normal masjid. I mean, obviously, it's a very practicing Muslim country, so the mosques are a lot fuller than maybe the Gulf, whatever, okay? It's like a Pakistan. Pakistan, you know what it is? The Hanafis have kept everyone at bay. Sick guys. They've got the dandas out. They're not letting that situation happen yet. Egyptians, lax, easy. Arabs, whatever. So they let it in. The Paks are holding on, but they're about to, they're losing that battle, all right? And the reason that these masajid have held out so long is because they've been Pak dominated, Deobandi dominated, they're super strict on everything, right? Now, as you know, that whole madhab kind of control is now weakening, and now the chairs are here now, all right? But like I said, en masse, not yet. In Egypt, you'll go, and a person, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy the chairs are there, but now what they do with the chairs is even more crazy. There'll be one line of people, or half a line of people at the front, and 20 people will be lining at the back. 15 lines in gap. It's not like they're the second line. It's at the back of the mosque. And their rationale, of course, is another common sense rationale that they want to keep uniformity. They don't want the chairs to get in the way. When there's other lines, it's going to hurt people, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to get in. So let's stick them all at the back. And they all pray and they all live. It's like a community back there. I'm telling you. No, they remain there. Some masajid, يعني huh? No, I have seen some masajid that a few of them will bring their chairs in. Yeah, no. The majority definitely don't. I mean, I'm speaking for, because, you got some masajid which are very big general mosques, like touristy mosques, yeah? They are the worst, obviously. But, who prays in a touristy mosque? People go to Masjid Sulaimaniya Masjid and Muhammad Ali Masjid, is it called Muhammad Ali Masjid, whatever it's called? And people go there. Very few people actually pray in these mosques, because it's all full of people just going in and going, whatever, you know what I'm saying, yeah? And it's not right, it's not like masjid where you go, you enjoy it, and it's horrible. Astaghfirullah, I shouldn't say that about the house of Allah, but the masjid, the Abu Dhabi one, whatever that one's called, and the Hasna Thani or Khamis, his one. I've been to both, okay? They are desolate places. They're like huge. SubhanAllah, the arch to get into these places is like you can't imagine. It's like massive, and you walk in and huge space, whatever one, and you see 6 people at the front. And the rest, the 300-400 people are just walking around, gawking at everything. Now, the Muhammad Khamis one is crazy. It's on the edge of the ocean, right? A sea or whatever. And this Abu Dhabi one, of course, is massive, but few people at the front, and exactly, yes. This is a normal Saudi masjid. This is. That is the bench. So you see, triple use. Actually, I should have said it. You're seeing the back of it. So the back then triples up as a Quran storage. You get what I'm saying? So now what you've got, okay, because obviously you can't see it very clearly, but what you're looking, you can see that guy there with the shimagh, okay? You can see he's leaning against it. If you look at it where the microphones are, to the right of the microphone, there's a guy with red headdress, okay? He's leaning against it, right? He's at the front. Where the member is, where the guy is giving the khutbah, underneath him. My God. Look at the brown raised platform. No, 1 second. Forget the Egyptian for a second. This is Saudi.
Really strange.
No, 1 second. This is Saudi.
Yeah, this is really
right. This is a Rajahi Masjid. By the way, Rajahi Masjid is the most beautiful masjid ever. By the way, I've got to say that, yeah? So, if you look at that guy, he's actually all the people on the right hand side, they're leaning against it, and then you sit on that if you're ill, and then on this side, you're using it for Quran storage, for tissue box stuff, and whatnot. So you see, that's how they've rationalized it, all right? And that, by the way, is the norm in every Saudi mosque. The norm in every Saudi mosque. And as I said, the Egyptian one and other kind of countries, they'll be empty, and they'll have all the things at the back, and blah, blah, blah. My mind got taken away. What was I speaking about?
When did this start?
I mean, I've seen it for at least 20 years. Yeah. This idea, 20 years. Probably in the last 10, 15, it's increased massively, of course, just like chairs have increased, but yeah. What was I saying about? Yeah, about what line? Yeah, so obviously, mosques are trying to deal with this problem, and we've got this problem as well. Now, I'm sure this feels like deja vu that I've spoken about it already. But what I was saying is that now the problem is that now Muslim Kickstarter kind of projects, they're all trying to produce the new chair, right? Which is great and a disaster at the same time. It's a disaster because they're bringing now chairs more into the masjid and more people are going to be using them, which is now moving away from the goal of us getting people back on the floor. At the same time, we can't hate on it because it's getting rid of some of the significant problems that the current chairs are giving us. Now, if you look at the normal, which goes back to the issue of where should a person stand. Now, if you've got a normal chair, all right, a normal chair, if you put its back legs on the line, that means you are standing in front of the line. Would you agree? Yeah. So that chair is not going to ruin the second line, which is very important because we don't want to ruin the second line. Because if you put the chair all the way back, if a person's sitting on a chair and he stands with everyone else, then his chair's destroyed the second line. And then the person can't stand behind that, and then we've got a problem. What's the solution for that? Have an open chair. So no kind of no cross leg on the chair, but just the legs, and the person kind of then, he goes through the gap. Okay, that's a solution, but not a great one. All right. Then what's the other solution? We say to the person, no. So that's the scholars who said that the most important thing is standing, and because qiyam is the most obvious part of the prayer, so a person's got to push the chair back. And that's the position of the majority, by the way, that a person's got to push the chair back, and there should be too few chairs, so do it at the end. And then maybe what we'll do is that the one behind it will be on a chair as well, so he's not affected. And that's the kind of theory. Let's keep it to the edges and whatever. The problem, of course, as you know, that most mosques don't get more than 1 or 2 lines, so that doesn't work. So there's going to be messing up the second line and the third line, etc. So then the solution was okay, then the other scholars, they said, no, what's important is that the backside is in line. And if the backside is what needs to be in line with the feet of the people, then you put the chair forward. And that's when the chair legs are on the line. That means that when you're standing 2 feet in front of everyone else. That was just really weird and off-putting. Yeah? But at least when you sit down, you're in line with everyone else. The argument against that, of course, is that you're standing forward, you save the guy at the back, okay, fine, but then you're not, most of the time of the prayer, you're out of line. All right? So you can see both positions have pros and cons. You got a third position, which is the correct position, in my opinion. And that is that there is no set position and you have to move the chair back and forth. You are the one who chose to use the chair. You've got to move it back and forth. What does that mean? You're going to have a chair that doesn't affect the people behind you. So it's got to be completely open. It's got to be back because you have to stand in line with the other people. Then when you're in ruku', that's fine. But when you sit down, you then need to move the chair forward so that your backside is in line with the people and you're not sitting down miles ahead. Then when you ruku', it's fine. Then when you stand back up again, then you push the chair back, you move back and whatever. Now that's the correct position. Now who can do that in prayer? All this back and forth, back and forth, back and you can't do it. Okay? Which is then you come to the fourth position, which is Sheikh Kahlan's opinion and the opinion of some scholars. What did they say? Something interesting. They said that when a person is deficient or disability or whatever, min ahlul a'dhar, and it's important you understand these phrases. When a person has a problem, then he comes under a category of ahlul a'dhar, those people who have excuses. Udhr. Okay? The people have excuses. The rules always become easy with people of excuses. Right? Legal excuse. And so for this person, they don't actually have a prayer line, they have a prayer zone. The idea there then is that they have the flexibility to go within their prayer zone. It doesn't matter. Because they are exempt, then it doesn't matter whether they're at the front or in the middle or whatever, because they're exempt. And the theory makes sense actually. They said that if there was a person who's sitting down, he would always be out of shape some way, one way or the other. If he was kind of like, maybe he had to lie down, then he would always be at the front, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It's a fatwa. It's not the strongest position because we'd argue that if there's a person who's sitting on the floor, he's always in line. Because if a person's sitting on the floor, he's in line, his chest's going to be in line with everyone else because his backside is going to be there. And when he goes for sajda, he's going to be in line with people as well. So actually, that's not a strong evidence. But now you've seen 4 opinions of where the chair should go. And it's an ijtihad opinion. We can't come down hard upon people that choose different opinions. But what can we come down hard upon? Masajid being too lax in introducing chairs. People doing what they want. There was a time here where it was absolute nonsense, man. I mean, we don't like it being here, but it's got to be here. But then there were some people that are saying, no, I follow opinion where it's got to go back. And then others saying we've got to be the front. We had this mess with people all over the show. And then we just had to have a statement where we had a decision that all chairs are going to go like this. Yani on the line, everyone stands forward. And that's the ruling in this mosque. One system. And so that's important. When the imam gives that ruling, then everyone then should stick to it. Okay? So these are the problems we're having chairs. Now, as I said, there's been a race in the last couple of years, especially kind of, this Kickstarter funder, whatever the thing's called, to, get make the perfect chair. And the problem is you don't want it to happen because it's going to encourage it. At the same time, you're not going to say no because it's going to reduce it. Okay? Reduce the problem. And I want to show you the picture that's the one. Shaz, bring this up. You can show that on the screen? So Shaz will show you the email. Flip my neck, man. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, actually that makes sense. Alright. Email. Shaz, you know what? You're a headache. Well, like I knew I was going to do this. Like when did I ever prepare a lesson in advance? This is interesting to look at. Alright. Salim. Right. It's gone. Right, have a look at this and see this design. because it's interesting. Anyway, back to the point. The line's got to be straight. Have you got it, Shaz? How long is it going to take to get it up? Any questions we got online? Any questions so far? The line's got to be straight. All right. While he gets it up, we'll look at the second one. The second one is that there has to be a tarasa fi saf. Yani that the line's got to be no gaps. Go on. What's up? I can't see it. Why not? No, on the screen. Is it on the video? Yes, on the video. Oh, right, okay. You see it, folks? Yeah? Everybody? So you see the advantage of that. The design basically allows a person to stand and sit without moving the chair and not impact upon the guy behind. It's actually quite interesting design.
Doesn't it impact once he sits down? Like, doesn't it shift so that...
Shaz, I've forgotten what it looks like. What is it? Sorry, hold on. So that thing flaps down. That where it says kursi, that's going to become flat. So his backside is going to be in line with the seat rest.
And the part that supports the back doesn't move?
No. My concern here, by the way, is how solid it, because they put wheels on it so they can wheel it in and out, yeah? So the wheels are on it to wheel it in and out. My concern is that when he sits down, does the thing rock and so on. The point is, from a design point of view, it's very good for the guy at the back. It's absolutely perfect for the guy at the back. He's not going to be affected by that. It's not going to irritate him. And standing next to this guy is also not going to be a bad thing, because that's why the lines are straight. If you look at the legs, they're straight, because that also causes a problem when you're trying to get feet to feet with the person who's next to you. So that will help. All right. Well, you know what it is? The frame looks sturdy. What doesn't look sturdy to me is, and by the way, it's designed for Saudi, man. I'm telling you, bro, that's sturdy. Okay, those big folks. It's not meant to be a flipping sofa. Doesn't look comfortable. Your city pack. Allah nekassam. Don't look comfortable. Honestly, sick guy. So my concern is that when you push down on the spring system to sit down, I think you're moving the thing back and forth. That's my concern. That's the non-stability part. I think it's not. I think it'll handle the weight.
Is one foot of the chair longer than the other one?
I think it's at an angle. It's the angle that.
Is it?
Yeah. Or it's just been bent. Already. It's failed prototype testing. Maybe, Allah alam yani, but so yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the second point, the Prophet ﷺ, he did say that you should line up like the angels line up in front of their Lord. يتراصون ويكملون الأول فالأول. They are close together, in line, regimented, and then they fill up the first and the second, and so on. وليس, and Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says he don't leave any space for the shaitan, and and it's important that we say that leaving no gaps does not mean yani squeezing everyone to death. Doesn't mean it's diham, that you got to crowd everyone in. Okay, and that's important. So if you see a small space, then it's not about making that guy uncomfortable. However, as we've already established, that small space will easily fit two people if everyone moves up. But the thing is that if everyone doesn't move up, then you shouldn't then go in. So again, this is a case-by-case basis. You look at the gap and you say, this is horrible because these people, and if you can go behind and just touch a few people, make an indication, just touch. I think that's okay. All right? For 4 or 5 people towards the end, that they now bring it in, I swear to you that gap will now be big enough for 1.5 people. All right? If they move, fine. If they don't, or you don't feel like thingy, then you don't squeeze yourself in. So that's important. But today, for example, people had already started making the third line, and I just looked at the second one, and there was a space for at least 1.25 person. So I went and filled it, because I'm 1.25, isn't it? Yeah. So, all right, okay. Yes.
Sheikh, in the context of a mosque that fills up, especially on Friday,
Yeah.
is there an issue with
Not.
it's good to crowd people?
Friday is different. Yeah. So let's make this. See, now you really want my soapbox, don't you? Okay, then let me get on that soapbox. All right. One of the most irritating things about Friday is the Muslims that come on a Friday. Full stop. They act like some of the most privileged. يعني أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. They don't want to move, they don't want to thingy, they don't want anyone close, they don't want anyone to come near their tootsies, they don't want, yani, they want to spread out like this. And when they're told, yani, that we're full, we need to cut the lines, so you need to now half the lines, we need to now whatever, whatnot. They don't move. And I've had major kickoffs. Major kickoffs. Because I really lose it amongst people, against people like that. That, no, where am I going to make sajda? I go, this is Jum'ah. You want a space for sajda? Come to the Fajr, you plum. And you got a space like this. And you can make Fajr, yani, in front of you, there's only 6 people here. The guy comes once a week. Once a week. And he won't move because he wants space for sajda. Wallah, I slapped a person once. I did. I'm not going to lie, I got into a major argument with someone. They make you go crazy. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said that become close even so that one of you is making sajda on the leg of his brother, meaning on the hamstring. Hamstring. Achilles, the calf. And at the bottom, the Achilles. On the person. Yani, Jum'ah is the one time where a number of arkan of salah are relaxed. Such as straight. Such as touching the floor for sajda. Such as, meaning that everyone's meant to cram in. The Jum'ah prayer is an experience of barakah, full, letting people in, avoiding them getting dirty outside, wet outside, it's raining. Oh, wallah, you see Muslims, they don't care, they came late. That's what they'll say. What do we care? They should have got there early. How was it billah? Yani the Muslims that come to Jum'ah? Wallahi, and you have an angel you have to be to deal with those parties. Qasr. Wallahi, they don't care about anyone else. The way they park their cars, the way they just don't care about anyone, whether Muslim, non-Muslim, the way they come in, the way they whatever. The flipping sheet goes round. They put £2 in. They say, "Yep, I bought my place for £2. Yeah, I done my bit for the Muslim Ummah right now." You silly paki. Drives me nuts. I told you to leave me alone.
Because you're talking about straight roads and you're talking about...
Yeah, these. Yeah, you're right. Jum'ah is the exception to the rule, and not just Jum'ah, by the way, also scenarios where there is crowding, where there are problems, where we need to give some kind of laxity for some reasons. So I think it was you who said actually last week or the week before, pillars, right? So in the ideal situation, we do not create lines involving the pillars. So we try to design the masjid around pillars that don't get in the way of the line. If it can be avoided, we avoid it. If it can't be avoided, then we include the pillar. What we don't do, which is going to come up in a second, is to have this system where, similar to the Saudi problem of one line, but the front line is like 1 3/4 lines, is to create that system where we keep this pillar kind of line, big massive gap to cover for it, and then so what we have is this like this. It's got to be, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the second point, as I said, is being close together. The third point is to complete the first line and then the second. First line and then the second. The Prophet ﷺ said that if the people knew what was in the call, in the adhan, in giving the adhan, and to get to, and pray in the first line, then they would draw straws. Okay, they would draw straws. And what does this mean? This means that if 2 come for the line, both of them should try to go for it. And when one of them says that's mine and the other one says it's mine, then someone should say pull the short straw, and the one who pulls it, they then basically get the thing. And that is if people understood. And I think we've spoken about this. I feel like I'm repeating myself. And I said nowadays it's tafaddal, yani you go forward. Like as if this is some kind of honorable action. It's not. Okay? And he goes, and Shaykh Uthaymeen says, and something where shaitan really plays with the people is that people are so lazy, they see a line which is not even full, like got gaps at the end, and they start the second line for some reason, and then the prayer, and he then goes in. He goes, the iqamah is given, and then the people, someone says to them, complete the first lines first, and they all start looking around. Who's going to do it? Not me, kind of thing. Or looking. We have this problem in this masjid, a chronic level of that problem. On Friday, I came for the second Jum'ah, and it was just going rubbish. So I basically said to the thingy, let's cancel this and bring everyone back. And everyone was late. I mean, I didn't care less. I had all the time in the world, I did. But the people, just to punish them. I'm not going to lie, that was my intention. I wanted to punish everyone, okay? So the khatib was, he went on for ages anyway. So he finished at 2 o'clock. Yep, which is when you're meant to be out. Right? 3 o'clock. 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock, yeah. Huh? Yeah, exactly. And people are meant to be out by 1:55, 1:50 to give them a chance to get back. Right? But anyway, this guy finishes khutbah anyway at 2 o'clock. So he messed up as well. Right? And as you know, when it's a small jama'ah, then when it's the largest jama'ah, we have to then go forward into the rooms. And if you go to the rooms, al-awwal means that you have to maintain the lines. So every line has to be filled along the corridor as well. You can't leave the corridor open. If you're going to justify that room being the masjid, then the only way it can be justified as a masjid is if you continue the lines forward. That's the same ruling, by the way, when people ask me, is it permissible to pray in the mall when you go to Mecca and Haram and whatever? You see people everywhere. I said, only if the lines continue. If lines continue, you can make anything the masjid. But if lines are broken, it is entirely impossible and illegal, invalid, to pray in the mall. Or even more stupid, pray in the masjid. To pray in the masjid, in the hotel musalla, right? You got these 5-star hotels, they make the musalla like this, and people are praying in it, right? M2 and G, whatever, it's known as the thing, that this is the musalla for the thing. So unacceptable. The lines have got to be continuous, right? So here, because it was taking so long, no one wants to go forward because they've got this idea that, I don't want to pray in a corridor, or because of X, or because of Y, or because I want to get away quickly. So they were taking so long. And honestly, it takes like 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes of begging, Saeed and Uthman, begging, one other brothers pushing people forward. And then after a couple of minutes, I said, you know what? No. I said, bring them back. So all of the people who went forward, every single one, I brought them back into this masjid. Every single one. And we made it. I knew that we'd make it and use that area. There was not that many people, okay? And we started the prayer, I think, 10 past 2. Make them flip and learn a lesson. Just move forward, khalas. But people are scared, worried, they don't understand. You've got to move forward. And it's ajr to move forward. And it's rewarded to move forward. So Shaykh Uthaymeen says, why is it that people, they always look around at others to do it? Just when the announcement's given, move. He said in the first reason, al-jahl al-azim. Incredible ignorance is the first reason. The second reason is because the imams themselves, they don't care about it. They do not have this concern, and that's so true, to actually complete the lines. It's like something that I'll just say it, but I'm not going to bother. Rare is it that you see an imam that will not start the prayer until the lines are fixed. And it's his responsibility. And I explained that in last week's lesson, or the week before, and the week before that as well. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he told a person to get back. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would touch people and push them. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would delegate companions to go up and down the lines, move back, forward. And so that is itself a missing construct. And he says, وَالْأَمْرُ بِالتَّسْوِيَةِ تَسْوِيَةِ or taswiyah? Yeah, I think it's with shadda as well. I think it's with also a shadda. But anyway, taswiyah or a taswiyah, sunnatun inda al-haja ilayha. This is interesting. So we're not talking about the line. He says that it's from the sunan of leading the salah to actually command the people to straighten the lines. To actually tell them as well. Which I think is a good point. Anyway, that's the end of thingy. Any important thingy? Should look like second row. Finger trap. Yep. Yeah, Nadeem makes a point. He goes, that looks dangerous, man. You know that chair. You can't see Yani your fingers going in that. Yani, you know, you would be, if you're in sajda there, you would be worried. I'm not gonna lie. But then I'm worried by any chair when I put my hands in.
That one's not CE. That can't be like CE marked or anything.
That's some pack, man. That's a pack making himself some money in Saudi, bro.
You've mentioned them, so you
We haven't mentioned them because we don't even know what the company is. We don't even know the name. That's just some pack who's taking a picture. All right. A bit off topic, and Rayhan, you was there at Sheffield, so no, save your monies. You've done it already. But anyone who has not done it recently, yes, protect his house. Listen, this weekend is a Bradford's class with in the Mirror. I think it's this weekend.
The 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Oh, sorry, so not this weekend, the next weekend. Bradford with Sulaiman Hani, nice class on Tazkiyah and Sahih Muslim, the introduction to Sahih Muslim, which itself is a good book. We've got Protect His House coming up as well. Any further questions on this?
I'm not sure you're going to come on to it, sorry. So, you mentioned the importance of making the line straight and all the rest of it. So, what if the line isn't straight, or it's missing or crooked or whatever? What is the consequence of that, the person praying? So, is the prayer accepted and the rewards reduced? Or
So if a person is themselves liable in the line being incorrect, then they're sinning. There's no doubt about that. The level of that sin punishment is not clear. But they are not fulfilling an obligation, and they're the cause of it. As for the person who is happening to because of someone else, then they are free. And Allah knows best.
Is it correct that the narration Allah la yamuru
We're going to come to that. I'm so glad you said that. جزاكم الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك اللهم وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله